Whether you believe Dave Meltzer or not, he is the first, today, that is, to come out and say that Karrion Kross has been, him and Scarlett have been offered new contracts by WWE. Now, Karrion posted a video today on Twitter thanking the fans for the success of his book, as well as to plug, I think, some kind of short theatrical film he's doing or something like that. And obviously he's going on a book tour as well to promote said book. And, you know, I look at this. I hear what Meltzer says, whether you believe him or not. You have other folks reporting this as well, at least following up on it, trying to get as much information as they can. And it does feel like all signs are pointing towards Kross and Scarlett resigning, if not already resigned. But obviously the question a lot of people, even Sean Ross Sapp at Fightful have, even Mike Johnson at PW Insider have, is, you know, why have we gotten much information, you know, about what's going on? You know, why is things, you know, not so, I guess you could say, well known? You know, why haven't we gotten any, like, you know, hints and everything as to yay or nay? Well, I think it's very similar to, maybe, as strange as a comparison it might be, to the Seth Rollins situation. You see, Seth, between him, Triple H, and several other parties that needed to be in the know, Seth was basically told to make his injury seem as legitimate as possible. Because the more real you make it, the less, the more real you make it, the more people are going to believe it, and the less you talk about it, the more people are going to ponder, is he really hurt, or is this something bigger? Is this part of a bigger plan? Well, obviously at SummerSlam we saw, you know, what the result was. The point I'm getting at with this when it comes to Kross is maybe Kross, as ridiculous as this may sound to some people, maybe Kross was told to kind of keep it on the down low. Like, yes, we're going to resign you, but we don't want anybody to know till the time is right. We want to keep it on the down low. And the reason I believe they want to keep it on the down low when it comes to Karrion is because basically, you know, we're in this era, we're in this time frame where Triple H, he's old school, right? He's an old school kind of guy. But he also knows that being in this time frame, it's hard to keep secrets, or it's hard to keep information out of the, out of the ears of those that don't need to hear it, like Fightful and PW Insider and so on. So what is he doing? He's basically taking this initiative that we found out about in Unreal, in WWE Unreal, as well as we've been hearing about after things happened. He's been taking this initiative of, hey, let me just get a group of people, you know, the key players involved, well, some other people that I know are going to keep it tight-lipped, and just have it be between us. And that's, I think, honestly, what's happening, you know, with Karrion. I think that's happening with several talents that we don't know whether or not their contracts are going to be renewed or they're not within the next, you know, several months or years, you know, or what positions, you know, and roles they're going to have in story, you know, on screen. So obviously taking that initiative of just keeping it between himself, Nick Khan, and those involved or need to be involved, he's keeping a lot of these situations, contractual situations, storyline situations, face turns, heel turns, you know, he's keeping it on the down low. He's keeping it on the down low so it doesn't get out, you know, so easily. I mean, you know, say what you will about the Brock Lesnar situation. You know, nobody knew Brock was going to show up. He wanted the feeling to be genuine, and it was. I mean, sure, some people probably needed to be in the know that day, like Michael Cole and Wade Barrett and all that, because they had to make the reaction seem natural. And maybe they weren't in the know. We don't know. But the point is, nobody knew Brock was going to show up. Nobody. I mean, some fans did in the reaction video say, hey, I bet you anything Brock's going to show up. And then in the reaction videos, they're like, oh, I told you, you know, I effing told you. And Hey, they have a right to guess because, this is John Cena's farewell season or his farewell tour. Of course, he's going to want to face off against certain people he's faced off before one last time. But again, you look at that situation with Brock, and whether you like it or not, nobody knew because it was kept between certain parties. And I'm thinking the same goes with any contractual situations with the superstars, like a Karrion Kross, like a Scarlett, and anybody else's contracts are going to be up real soon. It's something between them, Triple H, Nick Khan, and those that need to be in the know and nobody else. And the reason for that is so that basically the information doesn't get out there to outlets like Fightful, outlets like PW Insider, outlets like Wrestling Observer and Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez, or Wrestle Votes and anybody else. That it's kept between those parties and those parties only until the time is right. So, and that time being right is when things, come to a finality or come to a conclusion or a climax. And once that happens, then the information probably will, probably be okay to be let out as to, what happened. But I think that's why right now, the reason people like Meltzer and others are picking up on this, are saying what they're saying about Karrion, as well as even Karrion kind of, still doing his thing and all that. I think the reason for it basically is because they don't want it to get out. They don't want the information to get out, when they're not ready for it to get out. They don't want, they don't want it to be spoiled, basically. They don't want the information to be spoiled. They don't want, the information to be misworded or miscommunicated. They want it to be a genuine surprise, in my opinion. And again, going back to what I said about Triple H, he's old school. Basically, before the days of the internet, before the days of social media, before the days of Fightful and PW Insider and all that, unless you were on the phone with, let's say, some of Mean Gene's 900 numbers, or some of the 900 numbers WWE would do with JR and Todd Pettengill, or even, if you're on the 900 number with Meltzer through Pro Wrestling Illustrated and all that, those are the only other methods. Those are the only other methods at, 0.99 cents per minute or whatever. Those are the only methods you had of figuring or finding out what was going on. Finding out about who was jumping from WCW to ECW, or ECW to WCW, or WWE to ECW, ECW to WWE, and so on. That was the only way. You didn't have much information online or accessible until the internet really came into being around the mid to late 90s, and that's it. But going back to what I was saying, Triple H is the kind of person that liked it basically, when we didn't have all this kind of stuff going on. And what is he doing, I should say. What he's doing, is trying to kind of work our way around that. He's trying to figure out, okay, how do we keep said information out of the public's ears, when they don't need to know about it? Or how do we keep it out of the ears of those whose jobs, whose lifestyles is reporting the ins and outs of the business, but, they don't need to know about what's going on contractually with a superstar or several superstars or storyline-wise and so on and so forth. How do we do it? And basically, it's just keep it within a very tight inner circle, even away from those that should be in the know, because of, like production and everything, or maybe those that should be in the know that are talent-wise that might be indifferent about stuff or wondering what's going on and questioning. If Triple H has to do that now, where he even has to keep it from certain production people and all that, backstage people in the office, people, talent, wrestlers and all that. If it's gotten to a point to where he's got to keep it between himself, Nick Khan, and whoever else, that should know, that inner circle, if you will, if he's got to do that to make it feel like a genuine surprise, like, oh crap, I didn't see that coming, or oh crap, I didn't know he had resigned, maybe weeks ago or a month ago and everything. If he's got to do that, then he's got to do it. So be it. Yeah, it's going to upset people let's be honest. You can't tell me that Sean Ross Sapp, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful, and Mike Johnson of PW Insider, and Meltzer of Wrestling Observer, and Alvarez of Wrestling Observer, you can't tell me, because they won't say it themselves, but you can't tell me based on what they type on, they type online or what they say on camera. You can't tell me that it basically does not piss them off. You can't tell me that it does not piss them off of crap. There goes our job. Oh crap. What's the point of doing this for a living if the information that could get us the views or get us the likes or get us the clicks and all that, the attention. What's the point of having these kind of jobs if all that's going to be kept secretive until basically, a certain time frame? What's the point? You can't tell me it doesn't piss them off, because it does. It pisses them off, but they're not going to come out and express it pisses them off. They're just going to be professional and, go on with reporting the news that they have or that we've all found out. I mean, hell, let's take a look at the WWE ESPN deal. Do you think that came all of a sudden out of nowhere? Like, all of a sudden, it's like WWE says, yeah, we'll be part of your direct-to-consumer streaming service, ESPN, no problem. No. That probably was in the works months ago. That was probably in the works months ago. And they're only letting it be known now. To me, there's no doubt about it. Excuse me there. To me, there's no doubt about it. That was probably in the works months ago. And they're letting it be known now, because basically, had they let it out months ago that, hey, this might be happening, then what's the point of making it a genuine, out-of-nowhere surprise? You get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying, guys? What I'm saying is that basically this is Triple H's own way of telling you and I and those like Fightful and PW Insider and Meltzer and Alvarez, Sean Ross Sapp and others, WrestleVotes, this is... Andrew Baydella and many others that might, be in the know. This is Triple H's way of telling us that what's going on between certain talents contractually, what's going on storyline-wise and everything, ain't none of your damn business until the time is right. That's what it is. He's basically telling us it ain't none of your damn business. You do not need to be in the know about what's happening until it happens, and then you'll get your information. And a lot of people can speculate, as to why the press, the media scrums, the press conferences were scrubbed. A lot of people can be like, oh, they did that because of the Brock Lesnar situation. Maybe they did. Maybe they did. Maybe there's truth to it. But also, ladies and gentlemen, maybe it's because they felt like it wasn't necessary anymore. We don't know the real truth. Maybe they just felt like, hey, look, what's the point of having a press conference and everything when, people pretty much are in the know that it's a fake press conference and all that, thanks to Unreal, because they could probably see that eventually on Unreal. What's the point? What's the point, right? So what I'm getting at is I think that what's going on with Karrion Kross is very similar in tone to what happened with keeping Brock Lesnar's return secret and everything. That's one thing. As well as keeping, earlier this year, John Cena's heel turn secret. It's all about keeping it within the realm of those that need to know. Did any of us know that they were going to purchase AAA and let it still be AAA, but be under the WWE TKO banner? Did we know that was going to happen? No, we didn't. But that was probably in the works. And guess what? It got revealed, what was it, Money in the Bank? All of a sudden it's out of nowhere. It's a genuine surprise. Nobody thought it was good. Nobody saw it coming. Nobody saw it coming, but yet here we are. Here we are now. You got AAA stars showing up on SmackDown like Mr. Iguana and Psycho Clown, being acknowledged, as being acknowledged as the champions they are currently in the organizations. Like Psycho Clown, who's 1/3 of the AAA World Trios champions, and Mr. Iguana is 1/2 of the mixed tag team champions. I mean, the thing is, nobody saw that coming. And when it happened, it was a genuine surprise. So I think that's how Triple H's mentality is working now. Keep it within those that need to know. Keep them within an inner circle that needs to know. And then when everything is settled, when the dust is settled, then you let the information out of how it all came to be. So I think that's what's going on. Again, as strange as the comparison is, what's going on right now with Karrion Kross, and Karrion Kross and Scarlett. I think what's happening is basically they'll probably already signed a contract, or at least on the verge of signing a contract, and only now are we getting that information because maybe things are pretty much in the clear, pretty much your I's and T's are being dotted, and now we're getting the information. Now, could I be wrong and they're gone? Yeah, I could be wrong and they're gone, but you got to look at some factors. He still references himself as a WWE superstar on his Twitter account. They plugged his book on SummerSlam. They didn't have to do that if he was leaving. You have Paul Heyman on the Ariel Helwani show praising him and saying that they, being WWE, are making him into a star. You have new merchandise. Those are all signs that he's sticking around, if not already has signed to stick around. And only now are we finding out the information. So to me, I think we're in this time frame now where you have somebody like Triple H that's more about keeping things tight-lipped. Basically only in the know for those that need to know. Keeping it within an inner circle, tight-lipped, and only for those that need to be in the know until the dust is settled. Then the information can be let loose, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I think that's what's going on. Now you might say, "Oh, that's not true." Really, take a look at all the clues take a look at all the things I just mentioned. Take a look at the clues that are out there. Take a look at all the previous stuff with Brock and John and so on, and AAA and everything in this ESPN deal. Tell me when I'm telling lies. Tell me when I'm telling lies when it comes to all that being kept tight-lipped until the time was right. I'm just saying. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys, down below. Comment if you like the video, ring the bell for notifications, subscribe to the channel. Click on the links in the description to find my content elsewhere outside of YouTube, as well as click on the link at the bottom to my Teespring store for merchandise you can't get anywhere else. But guys, this is just my opinion, but I feel that Karrion Kross' situation, his contractual situation, is one of those situations to where, the only reason people like Meltzer and, others are reporting on this, if you believe a word Meltzer says, but, and everything, but the reason I bring this up is because now when you think about the timing, I would not be surprised if he's already signed. They're just letting that information slowly leak out right now. And then when the end of the week comes, we'll either find out, he's signed or maybe not. Again, like I said, could I be wrong? Absolutely. But I think, honestly, there's a good chance he has resigned, because why plug his book? Why have Paul Heyman on Ariel Helwani praise him? Why have new merchandise? Why have him on back-to-back PLEs? I'm just saying. But again, those are just my thoughts. Let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comments, as well as on the live chat during the premiere if you haven't already. And until next time, guys, I'll talk to y'all later. But those are just my opinions. I'd like to hear what yours are.